lean on us.
We are here for you.
You matter.
You are not alone.
Are you feeling overwhelmed? Not sure where to turn? The National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there for you 24/7. Call or text 988 or chat at 988sc.org. Whether you're having an emergency or you know someone who needs support now, they can help you take the next step towards finding hope and healing.
There is hope. 988sc.org.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Hey y'all, it's Peyton with Idle Lane Spa and Boutique, and you're listening to Local Leaders, the podcast.
Hey everyone, it's Jim Chapman with Local Leaders, the podcast, and I want to make you aware of a fantastic deal they have going on right now at Fit Body Boot Camp in Denham Springs, Louisiana. If you go to the link getfitdenhamsprings.com/local leaders, you can get $30 off of the regular price of $129 for 30 days of classes. Go to the link, click it, sign up. 30-day classes for only $99 through that link. It's a special deal offered to all of our listeners at Local Leaders, the podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Local Leaders, the podcast. And today, sitting across from me, we have Dr. Katherine Dronka from Eagle Eye Care. So how are you, ma'am?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Well, you have a beautiful building right here in Denham Springs, Louisiana, in the Antique District, and it has appealed to me from the beginning to sit you down. Because number one, I love the building. Number two, I love the name. We're going to talk about both of those things, Absolutely. Obviously. And when I kind of dug into you a little more and learned more about you, your story is just amazing. And I'm like, man, I got to get this lady on a podcast and quickly.
Here we are.
And here we are. So we're going to jump right into it and kind of talk about a little bit about you personally. Then we'll go into your business a little bit. Now, you were born in Puerto Rico.
I was.
And you are fluent in Espanol.
Sí, hablo español.
See, I was in the paint world forever, and I sold to a lot of painters that were Spanish-speaking painters.
Right.
So I learned like paint Spanish, which means I learned how to say like sign here
right.
and where's your boss?
Right. Exactly. We had a lot of that during the construction phase of getting the building ready, of being like, aquí, like
yes.
trying to figure out those, different terms. But no, I was born in Puerto Rico. Both my parents were stationed there in the military, and so they were stationed there about 5 years, and we moved to Virginia when I was probably about 18 months or so. We spent a little time there, and then we moved to Texas. My dad said, okay, Lenore, we either have a ranch, or a beautiful house that had kind of like a Spanish-style house with a pool, but it was kind of near the the railroad tracks. And so Mom said, let's do a ranch. So they bought a ranch, 20 plus acres, and it was an adventure from the beginning. So
yeah. It was like Yellowstone, the TV show.
Kind of. It was definitely a different experience. And so, we got, cows and chickens, the works. And so, and whenever I was born, my mom became a reservist, so she could stay, home with me. And then Dad stayed active duty throughout his entire military career. And so he actually continued moving while we stayed in Texas. So he was like, okay, well, let's go. We're going to go to D.C. I'm going to do the war college. And Mom's like, no, we just bought a ranch.
Yeah.
I'm not moving. And she's like, you can go and we'll stay here. So we actually, stayed there while he did his war college in Michigan and D.C. and he worked for the Pentagon. He kind of went a little bit around there for a while. So,
and before you go any further, I want to kind of brag on your parents a little bit, because this was interesting. First of all, to tell all the listeners out there, Dr. Dronka is very thorough. And when I asked her to fill out the little questionnaire we have people fill out, she really helped me out a lot, because she was extremely thorough with her explanations and things like that I was asking her. No surprise for this lady, and we'll get into her education and you'll kind of see why. But her parents were some pretty impressive folks. Your dad was 32 years in the Army,
Yep.
retired as a colonel.
yes. Yep. Full colonel.
And get this, y'all, and this is what I wanted to ask you. Your mother was 27 years in the military and retired as a lieutenant colonel, right underneath him.
Yep. Yep.
Now, your mother was in the military in a time, women were coming up, but I would imagine that high ranking of a female was not common.
No, absolutely not. She, my mom always kind of pushed the boundaries a little bit. So when she was in high school, she was the first woman in her shop class because she didn't want to do home ec. She didn't want to bake cakes and all that. And she told her dad, she's like, I don't want to do that. I want to, do woodworking and metalworking with, the boys in shop class. And so, of course, they told her no. And so her dad went up there and said, no, she's going to do shop because there's no reason why she can't. So
Yeah.
she did.
Wow.
So I think that just her motivation to always be a little different, a little edgier, a little, kind of skirting the edge there. So again, she just continued to progress in the military, just a very authoritative, strong role model, strong figure.
Yes, I can only imagine
Definitely.
having a role model like that as
Absolutely.
a mother.
Yeah. Just,
It kind of shows you that female, male, it don't matter. You can do whatever you set your mind
absolutely.
to, right?
Absolutely. It's whatever you want to do. I mean, if your goal is to be the next president, make it happen. Doesn't matter what's going on, you can make it happen. It just depends on your motivation. So the fact that she always pushed and always grew, and, education was huge in our family. So she got a master's. Dad had like 3 masters and an MBA. I mean, like it was
Literally, y'all.
like literally. And he was always sitting on, in his little chair. It was the couch, his little chair, and his little recliner. So he would always be like kind of watching TV and then taking like a business class or a computer class or gunsmithing. And I mean, he had all these different certifications just because he's like, I'm bored. I'm going to do something.
Wow.
And I'm like, what are you working on now? He's like, oh, I'm taking a logistics course. Oh, I'm teaching at University of Texas, over the internet. Sorry, what was that? I mean, it just like they never cease to amaze me with their drive not only to better themselves as people, but also to better the community. So, on this beautiful ranch, we have backhoes and forklifts and all of the different equipment.
Sure.
And anytime that there'd be a damaged road or somebody needed help, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm coming. Katherine, pick me up in the truck, in an hour." And he just drive his little backhoe through town, go, pave a road, whatever,
Yeah.
for nothing, just to help out the community to make sure that it was a better place. And so both of them had that same kind of mindset throughout life: is leave it better than you found it, and just, donate your time, your talent, and your treasure. And so it was always kind of that strong, foundation that I think really kind of carried into everything that I want to do for my patients and my practice. So
100%.
Yeah.
And it's really invaluable, the lessons I'm sure that you learn from
Absolutely.
them. And I can kind of relate. My grandfather was retired Navy,
Yeah.
and 30 something years, 32 years, and many different ships. But every communication I ever had with him, I felt like was a lesson. And I'll never forget one time I was camping with him, and I might have been 9 or 10, and he had a hunting camp, and I had an axe. And I was cutting wood. I mean, we actually cut the wood, and so I was cutting wood for the fire that night, sticks and stuff. It might have been a hatchet. And I took it and I stuck it in the ground. And he comes over to me and he says, pull that axe out of the ground. Right. And I said, because he kind of was firm about saying it. And he said, you'll dull the blade. That's all he said. And the rest of my life, every time I picked up a hatchet, I thought about that. Yep. It taught me a lesson, and I never stuck a blade in the ground again. But powerful people like that,
always.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
And because I always wanted to impress him, and so if I felt like I did something stupid, that was never happening again.
Oh my God, 100%. They could be mad at me, and I'd be like, a bratty teenager and all that. But the second that I felt that they were disappointed in me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely not. That was, and how you said, always lessons. It was never just like, go close that, go do that. There was always a follow up to that. It's gonna, it's gonna go bad, or it won't be as good anymore, or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't just. It was telling you why.
Exactly. It was always followed by a reason why, and I don't know if that's a military thing, or what, but there was never just blank demands. It was always with a reason why, and so. Anytime, same thing, like if I'm directing my patients or talking to friends or family, I'm like, well, this is why you shouldn't do this, or wear your safety glasses. Well, why? Well, here's the reasons why, not just like, okay, wear your safeties. Don't smoke, right? I mean, there's a reason why. Let me educate you. And then it's like, that makes sense why you don't want me to do that. Okay, I didn't know that. So,
yeah. You're not just mean.
Yeah. You're not just a jerk. Yeah, I got it.
Exactly. So, totally get that. Sandra Richard has been in the business of selling homes for over 20 years. This award-winning realtor brings the perfect blend of professionalism, integrity, and client satisfaction to every buying and selling transaction. A passion for both her clients and her community makes Sandra the perfect choice when buying or selling your home. So if you're in need, call the Cajun Lady, Sandra Richard, at 225-955-5484, or visit her on the web at sandrasellshouses.com. Sandra Richard, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. So throughout your life, you were learning those lessons in your young life, and then eventually you moved on to college. You went to Baylor University. Yep. Shout out to Baylor, and trust me, folks. Bears. Yeah, and not an easy school to get into. Very, you have to be pretty smart to get at Baylor, obviously. And you got a degree in neuroscience.
Mm-hmm. I did. Quite frankly, I really didn't, I feel like a lot of my decisions kind of throughout life were really, I think, obviously led by the Holy Spirit and my real thoughts, because really I just went down the list of majors and I was like, ooh, neuroscience sounds cool, because I didn't want to do biology and I thought I wanted to do chemistry and I didn't. So I'm like, I'm going to be a forensic chemist, until I took some different chemistry classes. I was like, so we're not going to do that. Kind of kept going. And I was like, oh, neuroscience sounds great. So dive into the degree. Definitely very challenging. Then I find out it's like the second hardest degree at the university. So
it just had a cool name.
It just had a cool name. It sounded cool. So, but I mean, everything, every kind of door really, I think, kind of opened after choosing that pathway, because I started working in the neuroscience psychology department, and that's kind of where it kind of led me to becoming an optometrist. So it really worked out well. Yeah, it
really did. And so you graduate and you get a degree in neuroscience, and now it's time to kind of decide, I guess, what you want to do. And you chose eye care.
I did.
Why eye care?
So again, I didn't know exactly what form of medical I wanted to do. My mom and I sat many a time at the little restaurant in Texas called Tony's, and we sat and just thought, well, do you want to do a master's? Do you want to do nursing? And we just went back and forth, and I'm just like, I'm just not, none of these are appealing to me. I'm not happy with any of these choices. And so in that same department, my boss and I were talking at the time, Miss Nancy, and I told her, I was like, this is October and I'm about to graduate like in May. I don't know what I want to do. So do you have any thoughts or suggestions or whatever? And so on that specific day, her husband came in out of nowhere. Like never seen him in the office ever. First time ever. He came in and he's like, hey, how are you? So we were talking and he's like, I used to be a frame rep. You'd be great at optometry. It'd be a really fun career. You know, you can have a family. You can make it whatever it is you want to do. You can be as medical or as, optical. The possibilities are endless. And so I was like, that sounds interesting. And I was actually going to meet a pharmaceutical sales rep to see if that was something I wanted to do with my degree. And so the entire time I'm meeting with this gentleman, I'm like, so this is awful. I wouldn't, for me, never.
Not your thing.
Not for me. No, thank you.
I hear you.
And so I came back and I told Nancy, I said, so I'm going to be an optometrist. Who do you see? And so I started shadowing her. And I mean, that was pretty much it. She kind of introduced me to the gentleman that I worked for in Houston, moved to Houston, worked for him for 2 years, and then went to optometry school. So it was really a split decision.
Yeah.
But it felt right. I mean, Baylor was the only school I applied to. It was the same thing. When I saw the brochure, I was like, I want to go to Baylor. So
yeah,
that was it. So it's the
Very
same concept of kind of where it led me. And so it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interesting thing is you went back home, but where you were born for your what would you call it, your doctorate. Mm-hmm. And that was back in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Which was awesome.
Yeah. And had you been back there back and forth, or that was your first time back since you were little?
Back. Yep. And
I bet that was cool.
It was interesting. So I actually I applied to Puerto Rico. About a week later, they said, "Hey, we got your application. We're going to review it, and we'll get back to you." So I'm okay. I'm praying on it, thinking about it. I'm like, okay, hope this is where I'm going to go. We'll see. Yeah. The next day, they said, "Okay, well, you got accepted without an interview because apparently your GPA was great," which I was like,
"Yeah, you went to Baylor."
Was it? So, I mean, let's not say my GPA was phenomenal, but I guess it was pretty good. And so I said, okay. So we sent the deposit check, and my parents flew with me to orientation, and we got off the plane, and I'm like,
my brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Sight unseen, had my bags packed, never visited the school, just showed up.
Wow.
Let's go, let's do it. So that was it. They helped me kind of get situated in my little dorm room, and they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, it's different.
Yeah.
It was a little different, a little culture shock there for a minute. But over those 4 years, I grew to absolutely love the island. I miss it so much. It's one of my favorite places to be. It's just the people are so genuine and so beautiful, and they, when you become kind of family, if you will, they'd ride for you, pick you up at 4 a.m. They don't even know your last name. They're like, Mija, come, vamos, let's go. It almost has almost like a New Orleans vibe. When you're down in New Orleans, everyone's like, come drink. Hey, let's go. We're family. Hey, it's the same vibe. It's just a beautiful, beautiful island. I love it.
Interesting. And so great experience for you all around.
Definitely.
That's awesome. And so you get your medical degree and you're a doctor, and you have to do some fellowships, you have to do some residencies, you do all of that. And it's important to mention, of course, because we're local leaders, that you also believe heavily in servant leadership, which definitely. I do as well.
Absolutely.
Just to kind of cover with the listeners some of the things that Dr. Dronka has done. in her volunteer work. You volunteered at one point for the Department of Veterans Affairs, obviously very close to your heart, I'm sure.
Definitely.
At one point, you were a member of SERVE, which they do something with PTSD with veterans.
Yep. Yeah. PTSD. It was a program, essentially a research program that we were working on, essentially to provide better care for the Afghanistan and Iraq veterans who are coming back. Just because obviously the PTSD that they were experiencing is different than other wars. So we were trying to find the best, essentially, treatment options for them specifically. And so it was a really neat research study that we were part of. I did not necessarily any of the interviewing, since I clearly wasn't qualified at the time for those type of things, but I helped, get the packets, meet the patients, get them situated, just send out information, like those kind of things.
Yeah.
So it was still neat to just be able to interact and kind of help on that committee.
Well, it's a huge issue.
Yeah, it's a huge issue.
With our fighting men and women that come back from war.
Definitely.
It's a hard thing to deal with.
It is, for sure.
And so shout out to you for the work that you did on that. Also want to mention you worked with Vosh, which is a missionary.
Yep.
Dominican Republic.
Yes. So Vosh is basically an international, essentially, servant group through optometry. And so we did some work through the Dominican Republic. We did some in Puerto Rico. I've also done Ret Pray Love, which is a different organization. That same thing, we actually went back to Puerto Rico, but it was more of a private group versus, more of a optometry related organization. So I think it's very important to kind of give back, whether it's in your local community or internationally, just because it regrounds you. It rehumbles you to, the daily grind, the daily rat race of just always going. And sometimes you just lose fact of that, life is really, really precious and very, very short, And so it kind of teaches you like, hey, let's slow down a little bit. Let's remember, like, we're living really, really well, especially when you go to the Dominican and you have water you can't drink, showers that are cold, no AC, no fans, and these people are used to it. I mean, that's their living. But, when you go from AC and comfortable and cozy, and then you're kind of put in these positions that you're working 12, 14 hours on your feet in the heat without, like anything.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, be grateful.
Yeah.
Because it could be so much worse. So it just kind of regrounds you, and I think it's so fulfilling to be able to give back to patients for them to actually be able to see and be comfortable and be able to read their Bible or their pamphlets or whatever it is that they bring in. They're like, mira, nobody leer, or like, I can't read this, like, and so we start getting in, they're like, oh, adios, like, I can see this. It's like they're so excited, and you're like, oh, I was a part of this. This is so cool. Like, it's such a nice experience. And so it always kind of rejuvenates you and just, makes you just realize that all the things that we do have are just so wonderful, and so to be grateful for it and just reflect on it. So it's very important, I think, to get back.
I agree 100%. And wow, you and I are on the same level on that.
Definitely.
For sure. I couldn't have said that any better. Now we're going to get into your business a little bit, because you have a business and we're here to talk about it.
Yeah.
Fit Blends of Denham Springs can help you with everything from meal prep to supplements. I love it that they serve breakfast all day, in addition to the best ultra healthy wraps you can really get anywhere in Livingston Parish. They are home of the $5 Smoothie Friday and are an amazing sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. Fit Blends Denham Springs, fast, fit food for you. So after several years, you worked for several established eye care centers, and eventually you made a leap of faith and you decided, I want to open my own eye care center. And you established Eagle Eye Care, right here in Denham Springs in the Antique District, as we mentioned. So first, what kind of led you to take that leap of faith? And because that's out of a comfort zone,
that's
right?
yes. So, James and I always joke, because when we first met, I was a professor at the university, or at the College of Optometry in Kentucky. And so I was pretty comfortable teaching and setting up the surgery centers and working in the hospital and all of those things. And So, we met, and then we were just kind of talking, and he's like, well, you should open your practice. You should do that. And I'm like, never. Absolutely not. Won't ever.
No way,
not
no
once,
how.
not never, not going to do it. I'd rather be in a hospital, which I do. That's my passion, is ocular disease and ocular pathology is my absolute, favorite thing on earth. So, so I move here, I start working for a private practice, and I think kind of a couple pivotal points is obviously, I always grind to make sure that my patients are taken care of because they're coming to see me, and regardless of what I've got going on in my life, I'm here to serve them. And so my dad got sick in December of 19. He got diagnosed with cancer, and that kind of 6 months or so kind of went on, and I was going home to take care of him, and home was in Texas. And so it was kind of really disrupting work, and it was a very rough time trying to be there for him, but also obviously then there was COVID, and that was kind of the start of all that stuff. And it was just a very, very hectic time, plus dealing with patients, dealing with work, dealing with all that. And so he actually passed on Memorial Day of 2020, which,
wow.
I mean, fitting, really.
Yeah.
Colonel. So when my mom called to tell me that he passed, I was like, well, that's fitting.
Yeah.
Of any day that you could pass, I guess. And so I think it was really that moment that I was like, damn, like life's really unpredictable, because up until that point, he was really healthy. Like, he had obviously other health conditions and such, but nothing like this. And so the fact that it changed and like 6 months he was gone, it kind of just, I took a step back, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to be working on somebody else's time, like, anymore. And so, we, over that next kind of 6 months of kind of grieving and thinking, I was like, my contract's coming up soon, do I want to, I started looking at different, positions around the area, and I'm like, I feel like it's going to be the same thing, same kind of deal, trying to take off and deal with life and whatever. And so probably around that December timeframe, I was like, maybe I should open a practice. And then I was thinking about like, what would Dad do? And then again, thinking about him on the sofa and the couch and always in the barn, like we could never find Dad growing up. He never sat, like he was always gone. Like he was in the barn or at the American Legion or Knights of Columbus. Like, you could never find him. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to push myself to do something I've never done before, because I've done academia, I've done the veteran, the VA hospital, I've done obviously a multitude of different private practices, hospital setting. And I'm like, I've never done private practice as my own. So I was like, I think I'm gonna do it. And so I was kind of praying on it, thinking about it. And one of my close friends and colleagues, Dr. Burnham, he actually opened his own practice in Denham Springs here down off Veterans. And he's a retinal specialist. And so his wife came in. She would come in maybe every couple months and bring us coffee or chat or whatever. And so she came in and shut the door, and she's like, Katherine, I just want to tell you something heavy on my heart. And I'm like, okay, tell me. What? Yeah. And she's like, I think that you should open a private practice. I think that you'd be really good at it. And I'm like, okay, I hear you, Dad. Let's do it. So I pretty much told Miss Brandy, who's my office manager, I said, hey, Brandy, you still serious about coming with me? Like, if we do this, you want to do this? She's like, I'm ready to roll. Let's go. So pretty much the next day,
she was in the car.
She was ready. She was like, I got my things. Let's go.
Say no more.
Let's go. So
love it.
And so I came home, and told James, and James was like, finally. So he's like, I've just been waiting for you to say it, So he's like, but I know you had to do it on your terms, your account. So that was it. So we started grinding. We hired an advisory team to kind of help, just obviously with some of the business aspect of it, since clearly clinical side's covered, optical side's, mainly covered, but business side, I'm like, not so sure on that one.
Yeah.
And so we just started the process and getting crazy and dove right in. I mean, it was
whirlwind.
It was a whirlwind, an insane 9 months. Oh my goodness.
I understand.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and like any business person at that point, you do have a decision to make, and that is, okay, I'm making this leap. I'm jumping into this business. I know I can do it. Daddy's talking to me, and all of these things, and you decide eventually on Denham Springs, specifically the Antique District, which I think you could not have picked a better spot.
I love it.
For your building. It's absolutely beautiful in there, and I'm going to do a little testimonial of them during this broadcast. But why Denham Springs in the end?
So, so I live in Livingston, the town of Livingston, and I was kind of tired of the commute into, Baton Rouge, where I was working. And so, we looked at probably 60 different locations just everywhere. And so one of these actually, again, just kind of popped up. Our realtor was like, hey, this isn't actually even listed. It's just through the realtors that we kind of knew about it. You should check it out. I think it'd be great for like what your vision is. And so that was like literally the night before we went to go look. So James took some videos. He was going all around, again, of this beautiful building. And so whenever he came to show me, he was like, now listen, the price is a little bit more than what you're wanting, but just look at it, feel it out. Okay. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay. So he goes to show me the video, and I said, is that the white building with the beautiful little iron fence? And he was like, yeah. And I said, okay, well, so that's the one I want.
Yeah.
I drove past it the other day, and I was like, damn, that's a cute building. And, and I was like, oh, it's a boutique. Okay. Kept going. Da-da-da. And as soon as I saw it on the screen, I'm like, all right, that's the one. That's it. He's like, you haven't even seen inside. I was like, yeah, I don't care. That's the one I want. Like, I just love this building. And just to kind of hear some of the history of it, I mean, it's been everything under the sun. Apparently, it was an old post office back in the day, which is so cool.
Isn't it?
It's so cool. We found old post office, I guess, gear.
That is cool.
Like up in the truss, and there's something that said like property of the U.S. Post Office, 1949. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that we found awesome. in the building. So, I don't know. It just kind of happened, and I love it.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. And I impress on this show a lot that, yes, the community invests in the business, but the business also invests in the community. And that's important for people to realize. You could have went anywhere that you wanted to go. You chose Denham Springs. And that's why I tell people, get behind these businesses and support them because they made a financial commitment to that particular city, in this case, Denham Springs. So I want to quote something. Now, the name is very interesting. It is Eagle Eye Care. And if you notice, we've got some lovely eagles up here today. I am also a eagle fanatic, and I'll tell you a little side note on that. I went to Canada on a cruise with my wife. Nice. First time I'd ever done a cruise, and it was just me and her. We go to Canada, absolutely beautiful. I recommend it. But the thing that blew my mind the most was eagles fly around there like crows or something do here. They're on every light pole.
That's awesome.
They're all over the place. It's unbelievable. Right. And I'm like, you see one around here, and it's like oh yeah. Yeah. They and just watch. I could watch them for hours. They just the way they glide and just amazing animals. And so we both have an affinity for eagles, and of course they're the symbol of freedom, and we all love freedom around here.
Absolutely.
So Eagle Eye Care was what you chose for your business, and I wanted to. I started to paraphrase this, and I'm like, now I'm quoting it word for word because it was so good. So I'm going to read this. That you said, and that was, the practice name is a salute to my late father, Colonel Paul Dronka, who passed on Memorial Day of 2020 of all days. We had eagles everywhere while growing up, and the symbol itself is one of strength, courage, and of course, America, the land of the free. I believe in providing exceptional care to all patients always. I believe that each patient should be an active participant in their care, and I take time to ensure the best treatment and management options for each individual patient, customizing your experience. Not every patient is the same, so I take the time to listen to your daily activities, what you do to work, what you like to do for fun, to ensure I choose the right option for you specifically, rather than just handing you a prescription and basically saying, good luck. I believe in preventative medicine and working closely with all medical specialists to ensure complete and thorough patient care. I am so excited to become involved in Denham Springs and be able to share my passion with my patients and their family and friends. Wow, you couldn't say it any better than that. That speaks to, for me, that spoke to who you are, and it's not just a money grab for you. No. This is a passion, and you said as such.
Yeah, it really is. I I've worked in, like I said, a lot of different facilities, a lot of different private practices, and, some that were modeled literally after the Ritz-Carlton that, we learned, we were taken to like Neiman Marcus to be trained and watched how, they were, they'd walk around the counter to give you your bag and hand you things in an envelope. Like, it wouldn't just be like, oh, here's all your loose receipts by. Like, it was just that next step. And then I've worked in some that they were like upcharged by 20, we're gonna, they ordered this, but we're gonna buy this because it's cheaper for us, like stuff like that. And I'm just like, that is so unethical, especially growing up in like I don't see that. And so, and it's like, I've also been a patient on the other end where, I'm discussing some of the things that are going on with me, and then they're just like, yeah, I'm sure it's just a headache, or yeah, I'm sure it's fine. You're just, whatever, XYZ. And I'm like, so you're not listening to me.
Yeah.
I know something's wrong, and so I think especially for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, but I've heard it so much here in Louisiana that, my patients come to me and they're like, yeah, I've been to so many doctors, and they're just like, yeah, I don't know what it is. Good luck,
right.
kind of deal. And I'm like, that's not okay with me. I don't like that. I don't want that for you. And so, we sit down and I really, like I said, try to get to know you and try to understand your life, because what you do is definitely different than, a pipeline worker or somebody who's, needs to be very close or, is further. And so to understand what it is that you do, are you in an environment that's going to be really scratchy and you're going to scratch your glasses, or are you primarily sitting behind a computer? Do you have one computer? Do you have 4 computers? I mean, all these things help me.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of different prescription options depending on what it is that you do. And so obviously that's the optic side of it, the optical side of it, and then obviously the medical.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
We've got a lot of patients who come in with headaches or different, diseases or different issues. And so I'm like, okay, well, when did it start? Tell me a little bit about it. Any other weird things going on with it? And we're trying to piece down. And I mean, it's by taking that small bit of extra time. I mean, we've caught, lung cancer. We've caught, obviously brain tumors. Somebody just went and had heart surgery that we, because of a visual disturbance. I'm like, we need to go to the ER right now, babe. I'm going to call an ambulance. Like, you're going to go. Sure enough, she had a hole in her heart and ended up having to get surgery.
Wow.
And so it just by taking that little extra time, instead of being like, yeah, I'm sure you're just tired. See you later. Right. I mean, that could have ended not so good for her. Right. And so by doing absolutely the best possible care that I can for every single patient, regardless of creed, age, race, whatever, to make sure that every patient is listened to, every patient has the same respect and courage and voice as anybody else. So I treat every patient like my parents. I would want other clinicians to do the same for them.
Wow. Very good. Very good. And I can speak for they do. And I'm going to get into that a little bit. But we want to talk a little bit about your services. And the first thing I want to mention, you have kind of a big separator with you. And when I found this out, I was like, wow, that's a huge deal. You're bilingual. You speak both English and Spanish. Mm-hmm. To me, this is huge because that clientele that speaks Spanish, sometimes they're not, it's got to be hard going somewhere where you're not fluent in the language, or maybe you struggle. Maybe you can speak English, but it's very rough.
Right.
And so it would offer a comfortability to that type of clientele. So Spanish speaking folks,
definitely.
I know someone that can communicate with you with no problem over there at Eagle Eye Care. Now, you're also learning sign language?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Golly. You love to learn.
I do. There's so much to learn out there. There's so many cool things. I always wanted to learn sign language. And so whenever I started working in Baton Rouge, I had probably 4 or 5 deaf patients, kind of almost within a month. And I'm like, this is the most I've ever seen ever.
Yeah.
And so I started doing some research and realized that the School of the Deaf was here in Baton Rouge. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's wild. And so I'm like, well, I guess I'll just have to learn sign language so I can better communicate with them. And so I went through the first 2 courses, and then COVID hit. And now it's been a year and some change, and I'm a bit rusty. But that's definitely something that I've kind of started rewatching some videos and getting more into it, trying to get back to it, obviously, now that we're open. And just because I think it is, one, it's a beautiful language. It's so unique that you can talk with your hands. I mean, it's so cool. But also just to, again, provide inclusivity for every patient. So obviously trying to find interpreters or, all that kind of stuff is difficult for those type of patients who are already, in a world that is different. And so trying to be able to provide care to them in their world is something that I think is special. And so same with my Spanish speaking patients, it is a little bit uncomfortable for them. They don't necessarily want to go somewhere, and then sometimes there's some, not backlash, but they're like, oh, now we gotta use an app, or it's like, so it's something where I'm like, hey, hola,
¿Cómo está?
Soy Katherine Dronka, mucho gusto, doesn't make them feel comfortable, again, just because I think every patient just deserves to feel, special. And if it's their 5 minutes of, if I made that, 20-minute experience pleasant for them, and that was the highlight of their day, then it was a good day.
100%. So. And interesting fun fact here, and I know the mayor was at your ribbon cutting. You are active in the chamber and did a ribbon cutting with the chamber. The mayor came, and his parents are both deaf, and he knows sign language. So he should teach you.
Yes. I'd be like,
a little fun fact there.
I did not
Mayor
know that.
Gerard
That's
Landry.
cool.
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
Absolutely. So just to cover some more of your services, and I'm going to give you some scenarios, and I'm going to say, is this something you could help with? Okay. So say someone has headaches and they can't figure out what's causing it, and they go to the dentist, and they're thinking TMJ or something. And he's like, nah, that's not what it is. Yeah. Is that something that can be caused by eyesight?
Absolutely can be caused by eyesight. Anytime that we're, doing a lot of near work or far work, I mean, it just kind of depends on what you're doing specifically. But if you've got prescription that's not corrected and those muscles are working way harder than they need to be working, certainly. I mean, that can cause a lot of different strain and stress and all that. But I think, again, it just takes time to sit down and talk to your patient. Headaches are actually probably one of my favorite things to work with. I'm sure the neuroscience helped.
I was thinking that.
Just because obviously there are so many different types of headaches, and just by listening and trying to find patterns and doing different questionnaires that I have in the office for patients who specifically come in with headaches, we can be like, ooh, that sounds more like, a trigeminal neuralgia, or, that sounds more like a cluster headache, and so we can start doing, and then plus we have different equipment in the office. One is called a visual field that we can actually test the visual pathway from the eye to the brain and see, hey, there's a pattern here that looks a little suspicious. Kind of makes me think that we might have something going on with the pituitary gland. Let's go to neuro. Let's see if we've got something going on. And so it's kind of again, I like puzzles. I said it when I answered your questionnaire. Yeah, definitely.
BJ Pawn and Gun in Denham Springs wants to buy your unwanted gold jewelry, gold coins, and gold bullion. With 30 years of experience operating in the Livingston Parish area, BJ Pawn wants to be your source when selling your gold. So stop by BJ Pawn today for a no-obligation offer. BJ Pawn, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast.
We watched House, the show, growing up, like every day, right? I mean, it was one of it was always on in the background, and it was always just that like diagnosing and trying to find a puzzle and trying to find the pathway. And then, you don't always figure out the answer, but it's the journey of getting there to, be active in that patient's care. And then if you can't find the answer, directing them to the person who can.
100%.
And then obviously following up with that patient or the other clinician. So
yes, 100%. And diabetics are also people that struggle with eye issues.
Absolutely,
correct?
Absolutely. A lot of patients, education is such an important thing because a lot of patients don't know, obviously, that their body affects their eyes. There's like, yeah, I have diabetes, whatever, right? Or yeah, I've got high blood pressure, it's fine, like it's controlled. I'm like, but do you know?
Yeah.
Like you can bleed in the back of your eyes, that you can lose vision. Like, the same blood vessels that are in our kidneys, are in our eyes, those very fine, beautiful, teeny tiny vessels. And so you've got, end-stage kidney disease, you're gonna have some issues with the eyes. It's the same tissue. And so just by sitting down and saying like, hey, if we can get our diabetes under control, and you're in your 30s, we can probably cut down the potential of us bleeding in our 50s, 60s, 70s, that could lead to permanent blindness. And but again, relating it back to them specifically, because I'm getting to know them, if you can't see, then we're not going to be able to watch your grandbaby, right? I mean, you got to, it's again tying it back to their environment to help kind of understand, and same with like glaucoma and things like that, other conditions. They're like, I always forget to use my drops and all that. And I'm like, well, what do you do every night? Tell me your routine. Okay, well, I sit down every night, 10 o'clock, watching news. I said, well, put your drops right by your remote. That way when you sit down, you say, I got to do my drops. Yeah. Compliance always goes up. And then I'm like, this is why you need to take your drops. We talk about it, and they're like, oh, that makes sense why you want me to take them. So, I think, again, it's just the educational part that, it's that going, I got to get to the next patient. But if you just slow down for a couple minutes and just kind of educate a patient, having them be compliant on their medicine versus seeing 30 patients, I mean, which one's more important, right? Yeah. You're knowing that somebody's actually doing what they need to versus slamming through prescriptions and, trying to crunch and go out the door kind of deal. So it's just taking that time.
100%. And, there's many services y'all offer there, from eye infections to diabetic eye care and glaucoma, typical vision loss. You just maybe getting older and maybe you're not eating as many carrots or whatever. And you realize, like I did, that you're pulling that phone away a little further than you used to. And I had that going on often. Migraines. You offer basic eye exams.
Absolutely, definitely.
Now, what age limit do you see patients of pretty much any age, or are they too old or too young?
Nope.
Okay.
I've seen as early as 6 weeks all the way up to, I think my oldest patient was like 107.
Wow.
So, it's any and all ages. I welcome everyone to be seen. Like I said, if I can't fix the issue, I'm going to find the right person who can. But we can at least get started and kind of dive in and figure out what's going on with you.
Fantastic. And you offer contact lenses.
Yep, absolutely.
A lot of people like those contacts. And I'm going to talk to y'all just for a second about my experience with Eagle Eye Care. So as we just joked around about, I was having an issue with this has been going on like a year now, and I'm hard-headed, and I never wore glasses in my life, y'all. Yeah. Never. I'm 47 now, and I have noticed for the last year, I've been kind of pulling my phone away. Papers, when I would read them, I'd pull them further and further away. And so I knew I had some sort of vision problem. And in the last probably 3 months, it had gotten really blurry when it was close. So it was time and all of that. And so I went and saw Eagle Eye Care. And had never been in there. When you walk in this place, it's absolutely beautiful. As she described, it's got some history to it, which this old guy loves anyway. But you walk in, it's very well laid out. The staff there is amazing, very nice people, very low pressure. It's basically just you go in there and you have your appointment, you sit down, you've got nice couches in there, and man, you got a table in there that I would love to have. Yeah, it's beautiful. So they've got some really nice just layout in general. You have glasses all over the walls, of course, and interesting thing about y'all, you have kind of glasses for every budget. So
Definitely.
of course, I have champagne taste and a beer budget or whatever they say. And when I was looking for my glasses, and I found a young lady had suggested a few pair, and the one that I liked, I said, "What do you think of these?" And she said, "Oh, they look nice." And she said, "You've got expensive taste." And I guess I did. But that's fine. They, for me, they were comfortable, and it's an accessory that I wear a lot. So, but just great service over there. Now, William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance in Denham Springs can service all of your insurance needs. Offering auto, life, health, and commercial insurance, William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance is a proud supporter of Local Leaders, the podcast. I'm not someone who, it had probably been 40 years, 30 years since I've had an eye exam, honestly. Just never had problems, y'all. So I go back there, and first of all, I want to talk about your equipment. You've got some pretty massive equipment back there that do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Tell me about those.
So, I'm used to working on dinosaurs or equipment that has, been gently used. And so whenever it came time to get my own equipment, which was kind of a weird thing to be like, well, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know a brand. I just use whatever's in the clinic. That's pretty much all of us. We just use what we know. So I end up going with Topcon Products just because it's a great company and they've got some really state-of-the-art equipment. And so everything that we have, like I said, is digital, automated, communicates with one another. So kind of in that room that you came into, the first one's what we call an auto refractor. So it gives me an idea of what your starting prescription is. It then sends it to the exam room. So it's already in the computer, which is cool. The next one is called a topographer. That one actually does a lot of different things. So it tells me the health of your cornea, kind of if we were to fit contacts, I know kind of which one to help pick for you. It also measures pupils, dry eye, a couple different things. I'm trying to think that I'm still kind of learning some of these new pieces of technology just because everything that I've been used to is like one button and that's all you get. So we have an OCT, it's a Maestro 2, and so that takes kind of full photos of the back of the eye, also scans the retina to see if there's any early disease or any changes that we could potentially kind of catch ahead of time. And then moving to the last one is the Henson, which is the visual field machine. It also has a cool little thing. It has a driving kind of test on there to know if for patients who come in for their DMV, we're actually able to do that one so we can kind of test to make sure that visual field looks good for driving. So, sure. And then obviously the lensometer that we measure glasses if you already have them, so we can see what's in that pair versus kind of what you're coming in with today. Yeah. So all that sends to the exam room. I click a little button, and it's all in the automated Phoropter, or the monster glasses, as I kindly call them. And so you're able to do the whole exam kind of without me doing the 1 and 2s. It's just a really unique experience that 100% I got to play with whenever we went to an expo, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, it really is.
I've never used one before, and so it was just really neat. And I'm like, we have to bring this to the clinic. So it's just also really cool. There's different settings where I can click between and show you what it's like with glasses, without glasses, with your old glasses, and patients are like, oh damn, I thought I was seeing okay, until you actually compare and you're like, oh, maybe I wasn't seeing as well. So I mean, it's just really, really cool, and all of it communicates with one another. And then kind of going into the optical, we've got a beautiful Santinelli edger that basically cuts glasses and cuts lenses in-house. So it's to die for. I'm Huge. So excited. Yeah, very good. And I went through that whole process, and look, y'all, in no time at all. Yeah. It's not our first time, seeing patients. I mean, I was in there, and it was my first time in 40 years probably being to the eye doctor, and she was like, okay, Jim, what do you see out of your left eye? What do you see out of your right eye? And how does this look, and how does that? And so all I know is at the end,
I could see those letters I was supposed to see, and they were super clear. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
It's pretty
so
neat.
it matched it all up. They have a machine, and she's like, it's going to tickle your eyelash, but you don't think anything's going to happen.
Right.
I was still freaked out. I'm like, something's going to shoot my
yeah.
eye. But just a pleasurable experience for going to an eye place, because you would just never think. But the equipment is ultra nice and makes an impression right from the start. And that equipment, that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a huge thing when you have access to equipment like that, where you can do things that maybe you can't do at every eye center.
Exactly.
For sure. So very impressive experience. And I did, y'all. I got some glasses. They're right here. These are Burberry glasses, and they're a great prescription, and I can put them on and actually see without pulling my papers away. And they have the blue block technology in them.
Absolutely.
Which kind of tell us about that real quick, because that's important these days.
It is important. Blue light protection is one of the things that we definitely recommend for patients who are on computers, phones, like who isn't really these days. And it just helps a lot with not only eye fatigue, but also to just protect the eyes from that blue radiation, essentially, that's coming into the back. And so, who knows down the road what's going to happen with all this, change of devices. And so if we can try to block out some to protect that beautiful, retina in the back of the eye down the road, then let's do it. Plus, just the overall fatigue that you don't experience towards the end of the day is nice. So you're not like taking off your glasses like,
yeah,
I got to take a nap, y'all. It's like only 6. I'm exhausted. It really helps to just kind of ease the end of the day. So
yeah, it really does. And you can tell a difference even when you put them on. You can tell the light has changed on that computer screen or whatever. And it's just easier on your eyes. At least I can. So something you can get there if you were curious is you can get that blue block technology. Stephanie Berthelot and the crew at SR Enterprise can handle it all, from sheetrock to texture to paint. Give Stephanie a call at 504-432-9284. SR Enterprise, where they spread the paint and you spread the word. I also wanted to read, and this was intriguing to me because you grew up with 2 leaders, right? Your mom and dad were the definition of leaders.
100%.
And so I was like, man, I wonder how she would define a leader. And I asked this of people a lot on this show, and I want to read what you said. You said, I believe that a leader is someone who pushes themselves to be the best they can be in every aspect of their life. They back up their words by their actions, someone who follows through, someone who is fair and honest, tries to give the best solution for each problem, someone who gives back to their community and to others, and who lives selflessly, putting others above themselves. These people make a tremendous amount of difference in the world and often don't even realize it.
100%.
I mean, I can't add anything to, not surprising that you had that awesome definition. And remember, I told y'all she was thorough. You see that? That's like a whole paragraph of information, which I love, because that really gets to the bones of what a leader is to me. And I can't agree further with that statement. Now, one thing about Eagle Eye Care is y'all are not against promotions, right? Y'all give some pretty interesting deals. You have some going on right now that I definitely want to mention. And one of those is you're offering 30% off non-prescription sunglasses. So you sell non-prescription sunglasses.
Absolutely.
There.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, we do. In fact, I actually brought a specific
Look
pair.
at there. Oh, I like those.
Yes,
Kind of like
course,
aviators.
Exactly. Very fitting. So this is from a brand called American Optical. This is called the General. So these are military issued for officers. And then the version called, oh goodness, it escapes me. I think it was the Aviator. It was for, the not officers, but enlisted, excuse me. And so these are pretty much the same style, same everything as the 60s, same model. In fact, my dad had this same pair of glasses, and James's dad had the other version, and they are identical. The only thing that's changed were the nose pads. These obviously are silicone. The ones that they had were metal. So the fact that, if it's made well, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of deal. Exquisite frame line that we have. And on all of these you can take them right off the shelf and go and kind of be a part of history. So
yeah, and those are classics.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You look like Top Gun with those things 100%.
On.
I
have them in rose gold. So yeah, I understand.
I love it. Yeah, those are awesome. I wish I would have never seen them now. I want to get it better. I like them. So they offer non-prescription sunglasses if that's something you're into and you're like, I don't have eyesight problems necessarily, but I do want some glasses. You can definitely go get those there. 30% off, folks. 20% off a pair of non-prescription sunglasses for contact lens lens wearers anytime within a year when you order a year supply of contact lenses. Boy, I'm struggling to say that word today.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So you got some, and another thing I wanted to mention, don't assume that Eagle Eye Care, you don't want to go get your glasses there because they're going to be too expensive or anything like that. They do literally have eyeglasses for everybody.
Everybody, yeah. Every budget, just because, again, it's the inclusivity. We want to make sure that, if you have a very, very tight budget, we got you. If you want to get a Maserati, Versace, you name it, we also got you. It's really whatever it is that you're vibing with or your feel is or what you're able to spend, because even our budgeted packages, if you will, are still great quality.
100%.
Nothing that I would put, that I wouldn't put my parents in. And so, still wonderful options, still ethically, that you're ethically taken care of and you're not getting some, cheap piece of plastic. And again, like, good luck. Like,
See ya.
Call me never, right? It's, we always make sure that, you're taken care of. And across the board, everything that we picked out was hand chosen. Every frame that's on that board.
You have an eco line.
Yeah. Yes.
Even,
yes. Our eco line is Moto is the manufacturer, and eco is kind of their subdivision or subversion of it. For every eco frame that's bought, they plant a tree, and everything's made of sustainable resources. Etnia, which is one of my favorite, Etnia Barcelona, they're hand assembled in Spain, and they're also made of cotton and wood. So if for whatever reason they end up in a landfill, God forbid. But if they do, they're not going to create more waste. So everything, there's, for sustainability to, your classics, Burberry, Versace, historical accuracy and historical, I guess, presence in the facility, to more of your budget friendly. See, now you got me tongue tied.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's addictive.
It is. More budget friendly frames. But again, a lot of places have budget-friendly frames, but they're atrocious. We call them like grandma glasses, and you're just like, this is what I have to choose from. These like 4 pair that look terrible. No, I even have some of the budget frames that I wear because they're so damn cute. So there's a little bit of everything, and every size too. We've got petite frames, extra large frames. We actually just picked up a tween kind of line, Converse, like the shoes.
Oh yeah.
So that way, that kind of market can have something a little bit more fun, a little bit more youthful, not so, extensive or fancy, right? So it's a little bit more of the tween kind of situation. And so, again, just a little bit of something for everybody. So when you come in, you say, I can never find frames. I'm like, bet.
Yeah.
I'm bet we can find something for you today. So, yeah.
Love it. And you do have people there that will assist with that. They assisted me, and I was a guy that had never worn glasses, so I had no idea what to,
right, exactly.
What to pick on that end. And you put a lot of care into the glasses that you choose. And even one thing I wanted to mention is even your more economical lines of glasses were chosen because they last. They're not going to break. The arm's not going to break off after 2 days, or unless you do that.
Yeah.
Like my kids.
Do not recommended, but
not recommended.
Not recommended, but if it happens, it's it happens.
Yeah.
We actually to speak on that, we actually just picked up Flexon as well, which is basically a brand that you can straight twist 360.
Oh, sweet.
So indestructible for those who like to just snap them crazy. So again, for every type of patient that's out there, we got you covered.
Options for everybody. Yeah. So anything you need, and what I wanted people to get out of this podcast today was number one, to learn who this person is, behind the glasses. How you like that? That's kind of a pun.
I like it.
So learn who you are behind your business, because you are a really special person. You're extremely educated in what you do. And there's so many, it's like I'm peeling an onion. There's so many parts of you that are awesome things that something like a podcast really can get out there and let people know about. So we appreciate everything you're doing here in the community. And your investment in the community, and I of course wish you the most success, and I will do everything I can to get people out there to Eagle Eye Care as soon as they feel like they need something in the way of glasses. Now, we shouted out your physical location, which is obviously right there in the Antique District in Denham, but how about your website? Do you have a website?
We do. So it's going to be Eagle Eye Care. So just like the bird, eye care, make sure you put LA. If you don't put LA, it's going to take you to like Missouri or something. So got to put that LA
I thought they were in the Antique District.
And same with our email address. It's at eagleeyecarela.com. If not, it's in the abyss. And so that's our website. It's just a really fun, interactive website. There's blog information. So there's, different questions of the day and different educational pieces. Because again, obviously education is very important.
Huge.
And so just kind of take a look and go see what we've got. We did a little kind of throw to New Orleans there. And so the road is, the little street sign is like the eagle.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a cute website. I'm pretty pleased. So.
Very cute.
Yeah.
And you also have a Facebook and a TikTok even.
We do.
As well. And TikTok, wow, man, I fought TikTok forever. I was like, number one, I don't want another social media I have to keep up with. But I'll tell you what, you got to have it.
Yeah, I mean
people are on TikTok. They're TikToking.
They are. They are TikToking. You unfortunately can't get away from it.
That's right.
If you can't beat them, join them. Be part of it. So
that's right. Search them on those social media platforms. You'll find them and give them a like and all that kind of stuff. I want to thank everyone out there for viewing and listening to this podcast. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share us on all your social media platforms as we strive to shine a spotlight on all of our businesses locally. I want to talk about LOPA for a second, the Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency. There's a drawing for $20,000 in prizes at the 3rd annual Crew Bash with Woody Overton of Real Life, Real Crime. And of course, I will be there with local leaders of the podcast. We changed the venue. It's going to be in the Basin in downtown Baton Rouge on February 5th. Chase Tyler will be following a live podcast by Woody Overton, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to be presenting, hopefully, a really, really big check to LOPA. Organ donation's an important thing, so look into it and try to save lives. A great organization here at LOPA. So thank you to all our sponsors, including Sandra Richard, Realtor, William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance, BJ Pawn, Fit Blends of Denham Springs, Black Sheep Creative, SR Enterprise Painting, Fit Body Boot Camp, and Greenleaf Charcuterie Boards. They do some great.
I bet.
Oh, they're so good. They don't last around here.
I was going to say, I doubt it.
They do not last. We couldn't do any of this without all of you. And if you want information on sponsoring or appearing on the show, reach out to me at jim@localleadersthepodcast.com. Until next time, I'm Jim Chapman, reminding you, love your community, support local business, just like Eagle Eye Care, and keep leading. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Dane Arnold with iTrade Exchange has been enabling small business in the Livingston Parish area to save cash through his network of over 300 participating Livingston Parish businesses. Saving cash by trading services with other exchange members is what iTrade Exchange is all about. For more information, contact Dane Arnold at 225-205-3640 or visit iTradeExchange.biz.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
David's Bridal, where brides and bridesmaids get fabulously dressed. We let our friends pick out what we wear, show off our dance moves, obsess over every little detail, hold your hand through it all, smile bravely when it's time to let go. Make your dreams come true. The things we do for love, only at David's Bridal.